Guess what? If you can feel other people's energy, then you've probably realized by now that that ability is not going away. Going out in public, feeling other people's emotions, seeing their aura, all of that is going to keep happening to you. The question is, are you going to learn how to use it to your advantage, or are you going to allow yourself to keep getting stuck in sensory overload? If you're here, you've probably realized that you can pick up on things that other people miss, easily read other people's energy and emotions, and you have strong sensory abilities. Crazy thing is that you are not the only one, so I'm so glad that you are here and you are watching this. You should definitely hit subscribe and follow along, because here on the Sensing Self podcast, we talk about how to make sense of what you feel so you can stop feeling overwhelmed. If you want to learn how to stop sensory overload, I want you to stay tuned until the very end, because in today's episode, I'm going to teach you the foundations that took me from being anxious and isolated to being grounded even in intensely stimulating environments, even while picking up on a lot. And if I can do it, then so can you. Hi there, welcome back. And if you're new here, I'm Kayla. I help empaths like you to make sense of what they feel so they can stop feeling overwhelmed and start using their abilities as a massive advantage in their life. Hit subscribe or follow, join the community, because you are definitely not the only one navigating an increase in sensory abilities right now. And in case you didn't already know, I also offer readings and my Sensing Self Leadership program. If you want to work with me more closely, be sure to check out the link in the show notes. If you want to stop sensory overload, then you need to understand bandwidth. One big thing that I tell my empaths all the time is that you have to think in terms of satellites and receivers. Here's what I mean by this. As an empath, you are acting as a channel. And just like a radio channel or a television channel, you are picking up on signals all the time. You're also receiving those signals, transmitting those signals, and my guess is nobody ever taught you how to do it properly. But don't worry, because I will, and this episode is going to teach you the foundations of what you need to know to get started. And once you understand this, it is going to make your life so much easier. If you are experiencing sensory overload, it means that you have a higher bandwidth than most people. And just like a radio station, if you can pick up on a lot of songs and a lot of broadcasts, you need to know which ones are static and which ones are actually worth listening to. When you experience sensory overload, it's like experiencing too many songs on the radio at once. I'm going to teach you today how to clear the static so you can stop experiencing sensory overload. Because I want you to hear me on this, not every song is worth listening to. And if you find yourself on a station that just keeps playing sad songs, of course it's going to impact your mood. Let me teach you how to stop that from happening. Here's the first thing you need to know. Most people in the world are not walking around with an open channel. They play a specific type of songs on a specific type of station. They broadcast that out into the world without a problem. But people like yourself that are living as a channel, they have an open receiver that is picking up on so many different stations. A lot of times they struggle to broadcast clearly because they don't even know what station is theirs. So these are the people who have a lot to say but often feel unheard. They see so much in the world around them but often feel overlooked themselves. They also crave deep connection but still feel isolated and alone. If this is you, then this is the most important thing you need to hear right now. Feeling others doesn't mean that they can feel you. In fact, if you were resonating with what I was saying earlier about feeling unheard and unseen, then you can probably safely assume that people are not feeling you as much as you are feeling them. That is actually the key skill that you need to focus on in order to stop sensory overload. Broadcast and bandwidth are not the same thing. Just because you can sense and feel a lot, it doesn't mean that you're putting out a clear signal. In fact, a lot of the times it means that you're not. I want you to think of a multi-lane highway versus a single-lane dirt road. You are that multi-lane highway, and most people are that single-lane dirt road. They don't get distracted, they don't get overwhelmed. There's only one clear way to go and only one car at a time. These people do not experience sensory overload. You, on the other hand, have multiple lanes of traffic that are moving at very high speeds at all times. That's what bandwidth is. It's how much information you are trying to process at once. In order to stop sensory overload, you need to have traffic systems in place. Things like exit ramps, on-ramps, merges, traffic signs, road lines. I hope at this point you're starting to admit to yourself that living life in the fast lane is a straight path to confusion and burnout. This is when you start hearing internal questions like, maybe I'm too sensitive, maybe I'm not cut out for this, maybe I should just close off forever. If that's you, I want you to know that you are not alone. Many empaths write to me every day telling me they wish they had an off switch, but it doesn't have to be that way. You can have high bandwidth, you just need to have the right systems in place to handle it. Once you realize that, your entire life can change. If you want to truly stop experiencing sensory overload, you want to go from having a high broadcast with no signal to having a high broadcast and a very clear signal. Here's how you do that. Getting a clear, focused signal means you need to build up your self-concept, which means instead of looking at all of those cars around you on the multi-lane highway, you need to have both hands on the wheel, eyes on the road, with clear direction on where you want to go. And honestly, this analogy is super rich coming from me because I'm the type of person who has the worst driving anxiety ever. I'm easily distracted and quickly panicked. Even with having this driving anxiety, it has taught me so much about managing my sensitivity, and it's helped me, and I hope it can help you too. Remember earlier when I was talking about songs and radio stations? Building up your self-concept is like playing the songs that feel the most like you. In order to do that, you have to get in touch with what you actually feel like. It means you have to stop scanning and start connecting to you. Anytime I tell other empaths about this in my readings and coaching sessions and programs, they always say, okay, I get it, but how? How do I build up my self-concept? How do I connect to myself? And you spend your entire life tuning into the needs of others, tuning into yourself, and knowing what you need can actually be foreign and almost scary to do. It's like driving on that multi-lane highway and you're always checking your blind spots and scanning the traffic around you, so much so that you don't even know what color your car is anymore. The people who don't have high bandwidth and they live on that single lane dirt road, they can afford to pull over every once in a while. They get out, they stretch their legs, they know what their car looks and sounds like because there's less distraction. You do not always have that luxury when you are on a multi-lane highway with fast-moving traffic. That's why I mentioned those traffic systems earlier. That's so you can slowly, intentionally connect to you and your own energy. If you want to learn how to build the systems that stop sensory overload, I want you to keep watching. We are going to go through the steps to build those systems. If you are a note taker, grab out a pen and paper. You might even want to save this video so you can come back to it later. Here's a quick overview of the 4 steps, and then we will dive deeper into each one. Number 1 is manage sensory input. Number 2 is filter what you feel. Number 3 is clarify your output. And number 4 is stay centered on you. Now, here's what I mean by managing sensory input. I want you to imagine that multi-lane highway again. If we wanted to manage the flow of traffic, one of the first systems we would need to create is things like on-ramps, so you can control the flow of who actually comes onto the highway. Because if you don't do that, things get chaotic really quick. And the same thing goes for you when you're experiencing sensory overload. Just because you pick something up doesn't mean you need to hold it. This is about deciding what has access to you and what doesn't. So if you're out in public and you are picking up on someone that has dense, dark energy, if you're not having a conversation with that person, things can end there. Sensing it can be enough. And in the moments where you do find yourself stuck in a conversation with someone like this, you need to remind yourself that just because you can feel it doesn't mean you need to fix it for them or help them feel better. You can honestly just witness it, hear them out, and then let it go. Being a kind and caring person doesn't mean that everybody has access to you. So that's the first system that you need to develop. It gets you asking the internal question of, do I allow this to touch me or not? The second system is filtering what you feel. This is about organizing what belongs to you and what belongs to others. This is like the traffic lanes on that multi-lane highway. One is for semi-trucks, one is a passing lane. Keeping what you feel organized is what stops sensory overwhelm. This is something I teach in depth in the Sensing Self program. It's called the mind versus not mind protocol. I even teach relational dynamics and how to read energy patterns clearly so you can clearly define what belongs to you and what doesn't. The key thing to remember here is asking yourself, is this actually mine? And giving yourself permission to clear, cancel, and release anything that does not belong to you. The third system is clarifying your output. This is like your off-ramps on that multi-lane highway. And honestly, I feel like this is the point where most empaths get confused. Because to you, giving your shirt off your back is the most natural thing to do. Crossing oceans for someone who would just jump a puddle for you comes naturally. That's the key thing that needs to change. Don't put out more than you are getting. These things need to be in balance. Sensory overload happens when you are in hypervigilance, constantly scanning, checking everyone's needs, even if it means it's at the cost of your own well-being. Managing your output means giving less. It means leaning back. It means putting more energy into you than you put into other people. That's a complicated thing for empaths, but I promise it can be done. The fourth and final system is staying centered on you. And this is something that I say all the time. You have to feel more of you and less of everyone else. This is like you driving on that multi-lane highway with a GPS built right into the dashboard so you know exactly where you're going. You need to take the time to connect your energy every single day. This final system is so important to empaths and those who pick up on energy and emotions easily. And it's built through time and repetition, not just through one practice. So even if you just take 2 minutes at the start of every day or before you go out in public to put your hand on your heart and connect to you, it will make the world of a difference. This is how you stop sensory overload and start feeling yourself again. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and I hope you got some takeaways from it. If you want to check out my work more deeply, be sure to check out the link in the show notes down below. Before I let you go today, I want to remind you that you are on the right track, exactly where you are meant to be, and you are definitely not alone. I will see you back here next week on another episode of the Sensing Self podcast.